Hello everyone, my name is Brian and you're watching Airsoft Nation. As Airsoft continues to mature and expand, offering a plethora of equipment options, one could envision the replica landscape blooming to the extent that nearly every genuine firearm finds its Airsoft counterpart. Nevertheless, amidst the prevailing dominance of M4s, AKs, and even the venerable M1911, numerous platforms have been relegated to obscurity. In this video, we have a countdown that features a handful of these overlooked and underrated gems in the realm of Airsoft, steering clear of esoteric, limited production guns like the super rare Ares DSR 1, the elusive Tanaka PM 63, or the awe-inspiring Socom Gear M82 Barrett. Instead, our focus will be on more widespread models to keep things interesting. Number 5. Battle Rifles. The inclusion of the G3 on this list may not exactly shock you, but trust me, it's a rarity in the airsoft scene these days. Back in the day when classic Army and even G&G were churning out G3s and their variants, the H&K enthusiasts were all about flaunting their prized possessions, and they still are, mind you. JG still blesses us with their affordable G3 offerings, and now LCT has even come to the party with a heavyweight model encased in a steel receiver. So, hey, at least there's some love for this rifle. But let's be real here, don't expect to witness more than a couple of G3s at any given field, that is, if you're lucky enough to spot even one. You might even go months without encountering this elusive beast unless you happen to know that one player who's actually got their hands on it. Now, let's turn our attention to the FAL and its beloved variants like the SI-58. Story remains much the same. Ares and King Arms delivered their full-sized L1A1 wonders around 8 years ago, and a few companies like Echo One, ASG, and even Lancer Tactical mustered up the courage to craft the SI-58 models. So in case you're wondering, the sport is there. Ares even had the audacity to re-release their legendary L1A1s, offering both polymer and wood furniture options. Kudos to them for that. These rifles boast battle-proven controls, splendid barrels for long-range engagements, and an undeniable legacy. Yet, despite all this, why don't we witness a tad more of their glory on the airsoft battlefield? Even when high-end company like LCT grants our wishes and delivers exactly what we desired, we still seem hesitant to open our wallets, and consequently, these rifles remain scarce. The peculiar ways of airsoft. Number 4. Machine pistols. Now let's dive into a topic that hits close to home for me, as I'm actually eyeing a particular firearm myself, assuming my wallet permits it. So here's my burning question. Why in the world is the VZ61 Scorpion so scarce nowadays? Seriously folks, CQB is all the rage in airsoft, especially in places like California, Japan, and the UK. With that in mind, you'd expect to see this compact beast making frequent appearances, but alas, it's an endangered species. If you look around carefully, the VZ61 has practically faded into obscurity as a platform. Despite AEP versions being ridiculously affordable and the KWA model being an absolute blast to wield, they're sitting pretty on store shelves, just waiting for someone to take them home. But out on the field? Rare sightings indeed. Maybe it's because the high cap has cast its shadow over the entire competitive CQB scene, rendering everything else seemingly obsolete. But as a future owner, I genuinely believe that these Scorpions have their own unique merits in close quarters battles, thanks to their compact size, generous magazine capacity, and the added allure of their rarity. However, let's not ignore the elephant in the room. The wire stocks and the AEP's lackluster range do leave something to be desired, I must confess. Now, while we're on the topic of SMGs, let's address the enigma known as the Uzi. Frankly speaking, sporting an Uzi in the wild is akin to stumbling upon Bigfoot in your own backyard. Tokyo Marui brought us the full-sized Uzi. Maruzen introduced the micro variant. The KWC is diligently churning out the CO2-powered Mini Uzi, aside from the offerings by Well and Double Eagle, if we're being generous. Yes, I understand that the Uzi may seem a bit outdated, but given the choice, I'd gladly embrace a full-size AEP Uzi or even a gas blowback mini Uzi any day over the incessant hype surrounding Crytek in every YouTube gun review comment section. Come on folks, there's more to Airsoft than just Crytek's. So, before you hastily type that comment on every single YouTube review, take a moment, step outside, and contemplate your life choices. Now, if anyone out there could be so kind as to resurrect 2 full-size Uzis, I'm looking at you, Tokyo Maru with your AEP magic, or perhaps KWC with a gas blowback masterpiece. I would be eternally grateful. But let's get real for a moment. If these AEP Uzis made a comeback priced around $140 to $240, would you even consider snatching one up? Let us know in the comments. Number 3, Bullpups. Let's dive into the world of Bullpups and shed some light on their underappreciated status. When it comes to the AUG, it's no surprise that it doesn't bask in the same level of popularity as some of its Bullpup counterparts, despite being one of the pioneers of the Bullpup design in the real world. The distinctive look of the AUG doesn't sit well with everyone, and many technicians out there simply dread working on them. Personally, I have a soft spot for the classic A1 model, but for many others, if it's not the A3, then you'd rather not hear a word about the AUG. That conversation gets thrown straight into the garbage bin, so to speak. Now, let's shift our attention to the Tavor, which has garnered quite a fan base among airsofters, from newcomers to seasoned players alike. These rifles accept standard M4 magazines, often steal the spotlight in professional airsoft videos, and serve as reliable all-around primaries. However, the individuals who assisted me in putting this video together inform me that the Tavor is rapidly losing its popularity. Isn't it amusing to hear? People clamor for the AUG A3 simply because they want to utilize M4 magazines with their AUGs. Yet, here we have a bullpup that effortlessly takes M4 magazines right out of the box, and it's experiencing a decline in interest. There's a pretty good possibility that moving forward, Airsoft will be just an M4 only affair. I don't want that to happen, but it's probably going to happen. That's exactly why I appreciate firearms like the Tavor, which bridge the gap by saying, hey, I'm not an M4, but guess what? I can still use those same magazines. Oh, trust me, I could go on and on about other remarkable bullpups like the FN F2000, the UAR, the Magpul PDRC, and even the often underappreciated L85, but let's focus on the AUG for a moment. It's a retro design that hasn't quite found its stride in AEG form, much like the FAMAS. As for the Tavor, it often finds itself overshadowed by the sheer abundance of standard M4s out there. Why take the risk of opting for something different when you can simply go with what you know will work? That's the predicament faced by many of these underused guns. However, let me be clear, I wouldn't hesitate to recommend them. Give them a try before blindly dismissing them. You might just discover their unique charm and potential.
What's up, Airsofters?
Number 2, non-M4 and non-AR-15 assault rifles. Let's talk about the G36, a platform that enjoys immense popularity across Europe, but here in the US, they can be a tad scarce. As a proud G36 owner myself, I believe they're formidable contenders against any gun on the field. But where are they when I head out to play? I could probably count the number of G36s I've seen throughout the entire year here in Texas on just one hand. Also, SIG rifles are practically a rarity too, aren't they? I personally haven't seen a single SIG rifle in over a year. I know somewhere out there in some state or country they may be a common sight. Heck, I can already anticipate the comments from you guys saying you see them all the time at your local field. I might actually consider getting myself a SIG 550. They do look pretty sleek, although I have to keep in mind that I'll need to acquire a bunch of unique magazines for it. Nonetheless, I'd be adding another attractive platform to my collection while my trusty G36 stands strong without any additional attachments since it already looks great as it is. Now, let's talk about the M14. This rifle, much like the G3 and FAL, has the potential to shine as a fantastic DMR build, where you could simply run it in its raw form with a handsome wooden stock. I happen to own two G&G Top Tech M14s, and people adore them, especially the one with the walnut stock. So, if they are so well liked, why are they seemingly disappearing lately? What's taken place? I can vividly recall the days when SEMA M14s were all over the place, as new players would snatch them up and local shops would sell them off. But now, encountering an M14 on the field leaves me more surprised than anything else. G&P made them, G&G made them, CYMA, Tokyo Marui, and even we had their versions. So, am I missing something here? Perhaps the age of the battle rifle is simply dwindling. Is it possible that no one desires the big old M14s, G3s, or even the iconic SIG 550 anymore? Maybe I should just jump on the Crytek bandwagon and call it a day. Number 1. World War II guns. Here's where we have the most sweeping category to conclude this countdown, encompassing a range of firearms from that era. Now, there is one exception to consider, and that would be the iconic M1911, which undoubtedly reigns as the most commonly used pistol in the realm of airsoft. However, when it comes to guns like the M1 Garand, BARs, MP40s, and the like, they are a rare sight indeed. When these World War II guns do make an appearance, they're often on display or brought out for discussions. Fortunately, they tend to be associated with lower-end models that creak and suffer from notorious issues. Now, I don't mean to suggest that all of them fall into this category, but it is a prevalent trend. I've had the pleasure of tinkering with ICS Garands and Lancer tactical bars, and let me tell you, these are truly enjoyable guns with challenging controls. It does take some time to adapt to World War II gun mechanics. However, if you're the kind of individual who brings them out to regular weekend skirmishes, you're bound to draw attention from fellow players. I eagerly await the day when I see someone armed with an Arisaka marching onto the battlefield. If that happens, I'll make sure to film a loadout video with that person. For those who venture into this niche of guns, you have plenty of choices to explore. Consider scouting specialized shops and perhaps even investing in a specialty kit to stand out from the crowd. Now, let's face it, anyone can walk into a shop and assemble an M4 loadout. But if you can enter a game and emerge victorious wielding one of these underrated World War II guns, you should truly feel a sense of pride. Perhaps, after this countdown, you might witness a surge of airsofters brandishing some of the guns on this list.